The Save America Act is headed to the Senate after passing the House. The bill would require government-mandated proof of citizenship, such as passports or birth certificates, to register to vote. It would also require states to remove non-citizens from existing voter rolls. Republican Congressman Mike Herodopoulos from Florida is a co-sponsor of the bill. He joins us now for more. Congressman, thank you for your time. So non-citizens are already prohibited from voting in federal and state elections. So why is this all necessary?
Well, I think most importantly, we want to make sure we have photo ID. You don't have to be a Republican to believe in this. Overwhelmingly, Republicans, Democrats, Independents all believe you should require photo identification. As you know, 14 states currently do not require that. And in order to board a plane or buy alcohol, for that matter, you need an ID. Considering the foundation of our government is a vibrant, safe democracy, we want to make sure that that is ensured, that only Americans vote in American elections.
So last week we spoke with a nonpartisan Brennan Center for Justice. They called this bill disastrous. So I want to play some of that sound for you right now when we're going to talk on the other side. Take a listen.
First and foremost, the SAVE Act would block millions of Americans from being able to vote. The SAVE Act would require a passport or birth certificate or other citizenship document to register, and we know that over 21 million Americans do not have ready access to those documents. In fact, roughly half of Americans have a passport to begin with, and millions don't have either of those documents at all. This policy is a brazen voter suppression effort. It would especially burden young voters and voters of color.
All right, Congressman, what's your response to that?
Well, to call that group nonpartisan is a joke. That'd be one part. The second part of it would be that everybody who flies in a plane knows you need a real ID. And this is, again, a safeguard for our democracy. As you know, the Democrats in 2016 crowed left and right that Donald Trump was not a legally elected president. We were not happy with the 2020 results. What better way to affirm making sure only Americans are voting in American elections is to require ID and make sure it's a photo ID. And we do a citizenship check. Every other major country does this in national elections. We want to make sure that people trust the election results. That's why we're moving this forward. And these were the same hysterical comments made when they changed the election laws in the state of Georgia. And more people actually voted after they put those safeguards in place. So I'm very confident that photo ID is the right way to go.
Where did this idea come from and why now?
Well, first of all, it's the common sense idea. When you tell people that they don't have to show photo ID in 14 states in order to vote, it's like, what are you talking about? That can't be the law, can it? It is. In 14 states, no photo ID. A lot of people are worried about some of the comments being made about illegals voting or other people who are not eligible. We just want to safeguard the basis of democracy. I'm a United States history teacher. I believe that if we lose confidence in our elections, we lose the country. And so we want to make sure that only people who are legally registered to vote, American citizens, will vote. And you verify that with a simple photo ID, just like you do before you vote. Go on a plane or let alone purchase alcohol or probably check into a hotel.
So if this was such a big deal, why wasn't this done during Trump's first term?
Well, I don't know, because I wasn't here. But what I do know is I'm here now, and I want to pass things like the SAVE Act. I want to give people the confidence, once again, that their vote counts. One person, one vote. It's the American way. And Congress should have an active role to make sure that the voter rolls are clean and that people who are truly eligible to vote, vote. And anybody who tries to do nefarious things is not eligible to vote.
So President Trump has called for Republicans to take over elections and nationalize voting. Would you support that?
Well, I think you're mischaracterizing it. Congress has long had a role in getting involved in election law, whether it be back in 1845, when we made it where November would be the elections for Congress after the harvest, before winter set in. 1965, of course, the Voter Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, and of course, HAVA and other voting things we've done in recent years. Congress should play an active role. It doesn't mean we're nationalizing elections. It means we're setting up basic standards, which are common sense: photo identification, making sure you're the person who actually you say you are, so there is not rampant voter fraud that could take place. And it happened back in the day. I can tell you, as a history teacher, back in the 1880s, 1890s, where people go to multiple voting sites, say they're someone who they're really not. Let's get rid of all that. Modern technology can easily solve the problems, as the partisan Brennan Center talked about before.
So when President Trump says he wants to take over elections and nationalize voting, and I just repeat what he says, what part am I getting wrong?
Well, what I'm saying is, the way I view it, I can't speak for the president, is...
I know, but what I'm saying is, if the president of the United States says something and then we report on what he says, that's what the president says. I mean, How am I mischaracterizing his own words? I mean, this is what he's saying. We can play the sound. Actually, do you know what? Let's just play the sound. We can play the sound here.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes.
We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
So just using what the president just said there in those two clips, do you support what he just said there?
Well, let me again go back to history. In the 1960s, when southern states did not allow African Americans to vote, federal people came downstairs and down south and made sure they actually were able to register to vote. If we think there's some nefarious things happening in the South or other parts of the country, of course, federal agents will come in to make sure you have the idea of one person, one vote. This is what happened in the civil rights movement. And again, we're in a case right now when in 2016, Democrats said that somehow Donald Trump stole the election. I can run you 20 minutes of that. In 2020, a lot of Republicans are concerned about that. So why not make it common sense? Everybody knows that you show photo ID before you vote. It's a very easy thing to do. Credit card companies verify these things every single day. We have the technology to easily make sure that people who are eligible to vote can quickly get the necessary information. After all, you do it when you go for, again, going on an airplane requires photo ID, and the Real ID Act affirms those basic things. So again, it's common sense, it is historic in nature, and it's nothing new. Congress should play an active role to make sure that it's one person, one vote.
So let's talk about the SAVE Act and the filibuster rules. Should Senate Majority Leader John Thune change the filibuster rules to pass the SAVE Act?
Well, what I'd like to see more than anything else, instead of just accepting the verdict that there's a delay in voting, let's have the debate. Again, I think great ideas and debate become stronger and stronger. And as you know, you've looked at the polling, Americans overwhelmingly affirm the idea that photo ID is necessary. Again, this is not a Republican or Democrat or black, white, or Hispanic issue. This is overwhelming numbers. I want to see them at least debate in the United States Senate as opposed to just accepting the fact that the Democrats can hold up the vote, just like they're closing down the government once again over bogus allegations.
Congressman Mike Herodopoulos, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks so much, Perry. Have a great weekend.